do our own thing. We basically, for us, an hour before showtime, everybody has to leave. We just focus and kind of just get in. I guess it wouldn't be much different than an athlete getting into the zone for a game. We do the same type of thing. Everyone has their own little type of quirky things that they do. Jared does vocal warm-ups and then at the same time is doing 1,000 other things. Where Shannon is the complete opposite, where he just isolates himself in a room and just listens to some music and does stick warm-ups to get his wrists warm and loose. And I just kind of get dressed and wait on the side of the stage. It takes me about 3.5 minutes to get ready for the show. I'm always in the zone.
So, how did you meet the rest of the band?
I met Shannon first, actually. I met Shannon. He had some mutual friends with my sister, and I was hanging out with her in LA, and he was there as well. And I just was talking to him for a little while, and he was telling me about his band and all that. And I was telling him how I was also in a band back in Detroit. And that was the first time I met Shannon. I met Jared once, just randomly with another friend of my sister's in LA, but it was very brief, and it was just kind of hello. And then I had a band in Detroit called Morphic, and we were managed by the same people. And that's when the connection kind of started to go like this, if you want to have a visual. Two paths slowly coming together. And then when I quit Morphic, it was pretty much total depression for me, because I thought that was the band that was going to do it. And then they called me up and they were like, Solon quit, do you want to come and try out for the band? And kind of the rest is history.
Okay, so it took a while for the past album to come out. So how many songs that got recorded didn't make the album?
Well, there was about 128 songs written for This Is War, and we fully recorded about 45 of them. And it took us 2 years because we knew that with This Is War that we had an opportunity to not only transcend our previous sound, but also we had an opportunity to just take it to the next level musically, and that takes a lot of work. And it's about the hardest thing you can do as a musician is to throw out your formula, the one that works, and to completely reinvent your sound is about the hardest thing you can do, and that's what we did. So that's why it took a long time, and we also knew that this could be the last shot that we have as a band, because when you're a musician and you have some success, it doesn't really mean anything at all. People's taste changes, especially when you take a long time like we did, and they're on to the next thing. People are fickle as well. They're people know what they like and what they want, and if they don't like it, it's over. They're on to the next. So we knew that we had to be really, really be in love with the music that we were making in order for other people to feel that.
Okay, so you've gotten to go to a lot of different countries. So what was your favorite place to visit?
Ooh, that's a tough question. Every place is unique, so it's kind of hard to pick a favorite, but I know that going to places like the Arctic, going to places like China, that are really exotic for someone who grew up in America, for instance. Those places have a special place in your heart because it's kind of like being on a different planet. Literally, it kind of is like being on a different planet, especially when you go to a place like the Arctic and you're standing on this glacier at the top of the Earth. And you're just kind of looking out, and all you see is ice, and the moon looks different up there, and the sky looks different, and we're really blessed. I mean, we have this band, and we have Jared, who just has the uber creativity and the ability to get what he wants, in the sense that convincing people to let him do his art, which is very difficult to do. But we've had these opportunities to go and travel to all these amazing places, and it's unforgettable. It's hard to describe, to be honest, but it's definitely those things that will never leave you. If this all ended tomorrow, I would still have those memories for the rest of my life of going to the Arctic, China, Japan, Russia. We played a show in Russia and sold something like 18,000 tickets. For a band Flood and Steve Lillywhite are arguably two of the most talented, most important producers in all rock music, in the history of music. They've made most of what we consider to be classic albums. Those guys have definitely been at the helm of the majority of those. So the fact that we were able to work with those guys and they were willing to work with us in itself was amazing. But you know, when you're working with people of that caliber, it's kind of like going to like a master's class in recording music, because you're learning it from the people who are writing the books, you know. And we all came out of that experience so much more knowledgeable about what we do for a living. And it's also really nice to work with people who are interested in the project. A lot of times when you work with producers, they just kind of are in and out, and you know, they give you their opinion, but they're not really hands-on, and they're not really like down in the mud with you, learning and finding and discovering the solutions. But those guys were there every step of the way. Flood really was the main producer of the album, along with us. We co-produced the record. And then Steve Lillywhite came in at the end to help us finish a couple of songs that we were having trouble with. Steve Lillywhite is known for being a great song producer, so he came in to help us finish a couple of songs that we couldn't really just put the final nails in the coffin, so to speak, you know.
Okay, so lastly, what social networks can people find you on?
Every single one in existence. If there's a social network out there that exists, we're probably already like at the helm of it, using it to its full capacity.
So what's the best way to find out all the names for them?
I mean, Twitter, MySpace, Facebook, all the video ones like Kite. We literally have pages on all of them. We have pages on Flickr, BuzzNet, like anything that has to do with connecting people. We participate in that, because for 30 Seconds to Mars, the experience has always been about community and sharing with people. I think some bands kind of do it the other way, where they are closed off, which I think is okay as well. But for us, we really are interested in what people think, and we want to learn from the people that listen to our music and that have found something special in it. A lot of the great ideas that we've had in the past, we've gotten by talking to people, just by having a conversation, and then it turns into something totally different, you know. So I think it's important for us to share the experience and to be open to communication, and the place, and you know, the social networking sites, specifically things like Twitter and Facebook, are amazing for that. I can send a tweet from my phone and let people know, just like that, like to meet over here, we're going to do some promo or whatever. It's like a simple example. But in 1 second, I can tell over 20,000 people, just me personally, what's going on. And if we do it from the band account, then it's so many more, and it's just an amazing way to get people to communicate with one another. The record, we recorded people from all over the world for the summit to put them on the album, singing and stomping and clapping and just like participating in the recording of the album. And then from there we did the Faces of Mars, putting 2,000 different faces of fans on the cover of the record. All of these things are just ways to enrich the communal aspect of the band, you know, and it works. I mean, it becomes viral, and people talk about it, and they're communicating with one another. People are becoming friends and meeting up that, you know, they would never have done before. And that's really the goal. The goal is just to have a great community.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for taking time to
You're
do
welcome.
this.
You're welcome.
Thank you.